the entertainment highlight of the week.
Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show. Hello.
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 Good morning.
Good day.
Good afternoon.
Good after. Oh no!
Yes.
Literally
Result.
messed it up. You haven't said anything yet, though.
Well, because you didn't.
I have to say, oh goodness.
Loch Ness. Excellent news. You see, the funniest thing is, going into that, I was thinking, oh gosh, I forgot we were doing this. I'm not mentally prepared. So thankfully...
And guess who was less mentally prepared? So, folks, if you've never heard this podcast before, you are now officially totally confused. That was the Loch Ness game. It's not a game, and it's not about Loch Ness. It's just a weird tradition that we have adopted.
It certainly is, isn't it? It's a rather strange one. But if your cans are tuned here, then they are tuned in the right place. This is the Benji and Nick Show. I am not Nick.
And I'm not Benji.
But what do we do, Nick? We talk about lots of stuff, don't we? But one main kind of subject.
Cult television. As Benji often says, the shows you want to remember, don't want to remember, or can't remember. Can't remember what it is you say. I usually leave that bit to you.
Yeah, I thought I'd switch it up this week. So it's the shows from the past, things you might remember, things you might want to forget, and things you completely forgot about.
Wow.
We dust them off and give them our opinion.
I'm also having an entirely new experience because Benji has shown me how to monitor my microphone inputs a lot more efficiently. So I feel like I'm in an entirely new world, none of which makes sense to any of you. Now, today, what we often do is we watch a programme in between Benji and Nick shows, and then the next time round we have a talk about it. Sometimes we do a commentary, usually of Doctor Who from the 1970s, to be fair. And the other thing, what was the other thing we'd do?
We do what we've been watching, so we talk about what we've generally been perusing throughout the weeks, and we haven't done one of those for a while. They are good fun, and I feel like lockdown, there's plenty to watch.
Oh, definitely. Last time we had a chat with a special guest star, Richard James, an actor and writer who was in Space Precinct, which we were talking about last week. We did a 2-part story over 2 weeks. Richard suggested Lizzie Dripping, a children's programme from, 1973?
Certainly the early 70s. Let me get up my info decks on it.
And that's what we subjected ourselves to, just giving you a slight hint of my opinion of it.
1973, Lizzie Dripping.
Yeah.
We've had some interesting responses as well about having... because in our last 2 podcasts where we covered Space Precinct, we had both Jamie and Richard James on to talk about it. And so a lot of people are saying it might be good in the future for us to get more guests involved in things. So if that's something you're interested in, then let us know and we'll see what we can do. Probably not a lot because, half the time even we don't know what we're covering. But certainly good to see a few of those responses.
Yeah. Also, Jamie Anderson will be turning up. He reliably informs me. So I'll be sending him a Zoom invitation at some point during this, and hopefully he'll turn up. And Jamie is the son of the late Jerry Anderson, who created Space Precinct, among other things. In a moment, we'll be dipping into your emails sent to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. Also, messages just in the last few minutes sent to the Nicholas Briggs official Facebook page. I just put out a call saying, anyone got any ideas, jokes, comments, quizzes? So we'll see. I can see the comments are mounting up, so we'll dip into that. But first, I'd just like to say that the Benji and Nick Show is proud to be sponsored by The Village Shop, the online e-store run by the Unmutual website and Coit Media Limited, your one-stop shop for all things Prisoner, Danger Man and Patrick McGoohan, including DVDs, Blu-rays, books, CDs, audio dramas, clothing, photos, homeware, and gifts with small raffia attachments at the base. New items are added weekly. Benji and Nick Show listeners can enjoy a 10% discount on all purchases by using the code LOCHNESS10, LOCHNESS10, at the checkout. A further donation will also be made to Hope House Children's Hospice at no cost to you. The address on the interweb is www.theprisonershop.co.uk. Should we have a look around? I've looked the last couple of weeks. Do you want to have a look?
Yeah, I'll have a little peek, see what's occurring. Let's have a little peek.
Someone, by the way, bought something from nicholasbriggs.com.
Did they? Excellent news. That's good. What did they buy?
It was a piece of art called Audio Doctor, which was a beautiful piece of artwork done by my dear friend Tim Keeple, who I've known for millions of years. He was around with the dinosaurs, I think, and he's very good at drawing dinosaurs. He's a fantastic artist, and he did an illustration of me as the Doctor from the audio visuals days. And if folks, you don't know what that means, best never find out.
I don't know. I recommend it wholeheartedly. I've got here it's the Callan File, the definitive guide.
Oh, now that's good.
So it's a guide to the television series Callan, which we haven't covered on here, which we really should actually at some point. It feels sort of conspicuous in its absence, doesn't it?
We have talked about it.
Oh, definitely.
Have you watched it?
Ages ago? Yeah, I think I've got the DVD. It's good. It's very good. I've not watched it all, but I've certainly watched it. It's a classy
was revived
show
by Big Finish as well.
It certainly was. Yeah, you can buy that now. Just promoting Big Finish on here. Why not? Quite frankly, it's very good.
Not?
And it's like, well, we always promote The Prisoner, so check out Callan if you haven't yet over at bigfinish.com. So that's what I recommend. This a lovely book. I love all these sort of definitive guide things anyway. I'm just going to double check that this wasn't done by if it's the same author as
There's so much behind the scenes information about Callan and the creation of it, so it's going to be a fantastic read, that.
Well, I've got really into reading these sort of books like that about, I suppose, not lesser known television shows, but it's but more tele-obscurities. It's not letting me do. I'm not going to get up to do it, but when I got the A Box Named Frank from Network Television about Public Eye, came with a book in that, that was a really good read as well. And so it sort of got me thinking about.
Is that by Andrew Pixley though?
It might be by. That's what I wanted to check, who it was by and whether it was the same authors, which it isn't. So
that's
isn't. The end of that. But
no, the Callan book. Remind me the author's name.
Well, you just said it, didn't you? Andrew Pixley.
No, the Callan book.
Oh, the Callan book. Robert Fairclough and Mike Kenwood.
Yeah, because I know Robert. I've met him many times. Very, very nice chap. I think the last time I might have seen him was actually in Portmeirion, which I would have been going to a convention for, I think this, either last weekend or this coming weekend, but unfortunately the pandemic lockdown has put a kibosh on that. Anyway, let's go into the first of the emails sent to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. Would you like to do this one?
Certainly will, yes. It's entitled Scooby and the Stranger. That was sent on the 11th of the 4th, 2020, in the year of our Lord 1024. Very early, very early. And it is by Mark Perkins. I loved Tom Hodden's idea of work experience placement and look forward to Zippy and Bungle's tenure on the show. I did notice, however, that you referred to Thelma leaving the Scooby-Doo gang and thought I'd point out in a pedanticus way, is that the word?
Yes. Yeah. He's just messing around.
That she's actually called Velma. What do we call her?
Velma. It's Velma. You're absolutely right.
I too had no idea until recently, so I'll let you off this time. I recently found out why Scooby and the gang all go around in a van for no good reason. Originally, they were meant to be a band, and the van was full of their gear. Right. Somewhere along the development path, the pop group elements were abandoned, but the Mystery Machine van remained. Isn't that interesting? That is very interesting.
That is interesting. Oh, Mark, that is an interesting fact.
In later years, I've come to see Scooby-Doo was a love story with no happy resolution.
It's true.
Velma was in love with Daphne, but she loved Fred, who in turn fancied Shaggy, but of course Shaggy was in love with Scooby. A real love
That's not
triangle
the love story
there.
I had in mind, but anyway, there you go.
I actually remember The Stranger. It was shown on children's TV in the 60s, most likely on the BBC. We weren't allowed to watch ITV at tea time, possibly because Susan Stranks wore a jumper with no bra.
That's true, yeah. In Magpie, yes, she was a bit forward-thinking.
A bit of a Charlie Dimmock move. Keep up the great podding, with a little asterisk there. My phone tried to make me write pudding there. Well, I wish we were having a great pudding as well.
Oh, I'd like a pudding.
Mark,
I just had a
friend
banana.
of Fenella Perkins, sent from my Samsung out of this galaxy, not very smartphone. Ooh, terrific email.
Yes.
Phil, I've learnt something.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? Not about the love story. Mark, of course, had mentioned in a previous email that he had won a prize of getting Fenella Fielding to do his voicemail.
Oh, yeah.
So we should ring him if only we had his number. Anyway, now, talking of Tom Hodden, as mentioned in the previous email, he is what we would call an habitual emailer, but in the nicest possible way. He wrote to us on the 12th of the 4th, 2020, in the year 1836. Gents, I attach for your approval the latest, and I can only hope last draft of the script for the pilot episode of the high-budget Netflix remake of your podcast. I have, as requested, managed to reduce the run time to less than 6 hours per episode. But that has required some drastic changes. Firstly, the whole subplot in which the cast of How To are revealed to be controlling a worldwide crime syndicate has been removed, as has the dark secret of the Blue Peter Garden, Kermit the Frog's true nature, and the connection between the Love Boat and JFK's assassination. Because we have to be economical with our sets, instead of travelling to New York, then tracing the mystery to Gilligan's Island, all scenes that previously took place in New York, Tokyo, Los Angeles or Milton Keynes will now take place on Gilligan's Island. All the scenes that were originally in the WHO building in Geneva, the UN building in New York, the House of Lords or Benji's flat will now take place in Pat Sharp's fun house.
Down for that 100%.
Mr. Blobby is game for the final act, the dramatic Who Dares Win style hostage rescue sequence to happen at Crinkly Bottom, but he has two conditions. One, direct input into the soundtrack, and two, the lead role in the next stage presentation of Mr. Briggs's excellent Jekyll and Hyde play.
Well, I can see that going perfectly well.
That is a real thing, actually. I did write a Jekyll and Hyde play, which is available at nicholasbriggs.com for you to
read and
perform.
reenact and perform.
You can buy it and get the rights to perform it at a very competitive rate. The producer has some casting notes. They want to slightly remodel the characters of the fictional Benji and Nick. To wit, Benji will now be Master Sergeant Benji, the Clifton, a haunted veteran of an elite special forces unit turned pro wrestler.
Perfect.
Played by Adam Driver. Who's Adam Driver?
Let's see where.
Do you want to look
Oh,
that
that's
up first?
of course, yeah. I can't see the resemblance, but I like it. He's in Kylo Ren in Star Wars. You've seen Star Wars?
Oh, is that who?
Yeah.
Is that who he is?
Probably the guy that looks the least like me as well.
Nick will now be Sir Huxby Nicholas, a rogue weatherman who is also, for reasons never made entirely clear in the script, a highly skilled investigative journalist played by Colin Baker.
Perfect.
Peter Davison's ghost will now be played by Sylvester McCoy. Sylvester McCoy will be played by David Tennant, and David Tennant will be played by Peter Davison. Adam Driver, previously to be played by himself, will now be played by Nicholas Briggs, not as himself. And Benji will, thanks to some cunning use of wardrobe, play the third policeman, second pilot, Green Cross Codeman, Davros, and Pat Sharp.
I mean, I'm sold. I think this is my favourite of Tom's emails. This is perfect.
It is. This is a level of insanity never reached before. Sean Bean will reprise his role as the other Sharp, but refuses to allow the joke about being Pat's brother. I hope these changes are all to your satisfaction. Yours, T.E. Hodden.
Sold.
Yeah, thank
There
you.
we go. Commission
Thank you,
it.
Thomas. That has really made me laugh. Now, let's see what's been happening on Facebook
The book.
since I... so Jenny Shirt was first, and she says, if you could adapt and read any childhood favourite book as an audio story, which would you most like to bring to life? Any childhood favourite book as an audio story.
Talking of childhood favourite books, this isn't what I would adapt. But when I was a young lad, my parents were given, somebody gave them a book or something for me. It was called Bernie the Concrete Maker. Or Bernie the is it Maker or Mixer? I think it's Concrete Mixer. About this sort of lovable, and it was a thoroughly boring book. But subsequently, and for some unknown reason, it became my favourite book as a little boy.
Right.
And so they absolutely hated the fact that they had to constantly read me Bernie the Concrete Mixer. I mean, not many people can say their favourite childhood book when they were little was about a concrete mixer.
Gosh, one of the ones that was my favourite, which I hardly dare mention, and I'll mention it once and then move straight on, was called Teddy, Golly and Bunny. But we'll just move straight on from that. Different times, folks.
Different times.
Yeah.
In terms of audio...
Jennings and Derbyshire, the stories of two private school boys, or public school boys.
It certainly sounds like...
I went to state schools, but for some reason I used to like those books. Also, there was Patrick Moore. That's right, the
astrologist.
Astrologist. He astronomist.
Astronomist, yeah.
Not astrologist. He didn't tell fortunes.
Oh dear.
And cast the runes.
Yes, and you'll see rising in Capricorn then.
And we both did the same joke there. Just choose which one you want, listeners. They were both rubbish. He wrote a series of books about Mars. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Do you want to look that up on the internet? Put Patrick Moore books about Mars. And I only had one of them. I think he wrote 3. And it was called The Voices of Mars. And it was science fiction, but only just fiction sort of thing. It was,
Patrick Moore on Mars.
I don't think he is.
That's where he went. Voices of Mars. I'll have a look.
Yeah, just right there. I think there were 3 books, maybe 2. I think there are 3.
Yeah, there's
this
The
podcast
Voices
will
of
consist of me
Mars.
oscillating between 2 and 3.
3 or 2? 2 or 3? 3 or 2?
What have
Some
you got?
gorgeous covers there. I can't find the others, but Voices of Mars is a thing.
Yeah. So maybe that one.
That's a good
Alex
one.
Pass says, happy 100th birthday to Arnold Yarrow.
Yes, it's
Belle
his birthday
in Death of the
today.
Dice. Wow!
100 years of Arnold Yarrow.
That way leads to cake.
Says Alex Pass. That's brilliant. That's fantastic. That's the next best thing in this podcast.
I'll raise my
Arnold
glass,
Yarrow.
I think, to that. Dear
Yes,
old Arnold
cheers.
Yarrow.
Cheers.
That's my
That's
tea.
me hitting the microphone with my glass.
I think if I was adapting a book when I was a kid, I'd probably go for The Magic Faraway Tree. I think that's the one.
Oh, okay.
I've
I've read that out to Ben at bedtime. Yeah.
I always rather like
Many
that, all
years ago
the
now.
different lands and things, and
Yeah,
Moonface.
it's irritating. I found it. It's Enid Blyton, isn't it?
It is an Enid Blyton book. Yeah.
Yes, mercifully short, I think. Philip Markham says, last night I had a phone call telling me I won an Elvis quiz and the prizes were £200 or live concert tickets. The automated message told me to press 1 for the money, 2 for the show.
I like that. Class.
He says, sorry for the terrible joke, but we are telling each other these sort of jokes to keep us going on the shifts at the hospital, and your weekly dose of nonsense is helping too. Thank you. Oh, Phil, I didn't know that you worked at a hospital. Really brilliant to hear. Yes.
Clap to all of our listeners who are key workers as well, work in a hospital.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Oh, goodness. Oh, any more rubbish jokes, Phil? I am up for them. Please write to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com with all the rubbish jokes that you've been telling each other at the hospital, and I'll read out the ones that are read-outable Redoubtable. Alex Pass, not content with his first message, is in again. What are yourself, Benji and Jamie enjoying about the lockdown? E.g. rediscovering old writing projects, walking in a nearby park, doing that bit of DIY that you've been putting off, etc. I think the main thing I'm enjoying about the lockdown is that normally I spend a lot of time away from my family and I'm here with them all the time. And I like that.
That's a lovely thing to say.
I feel like we're more part of each other's lives than we were before.
That's really lovely. Well, mine. I mean, I'm enjoying writing a lot more music at the moment. So been getting really creative with synthesizers and stuff like that, and just playing and learning a bit more guitar. And what else am I doing? My long-term project, which is incredibly boring, but I'm just going to say it how it is. Long-term project is I'm building a complete scale replica model, 3D model of the whole of Coronation Street based on the floor plans. And I have to say,
you're not.
I am. Yeah, I've built the Rover's Return. I've built number 1 Coronation Street.
Of?
It's on something I've been on for years called Second Life, which is an online.
Oh, I see. So not in reality.
Not physical. It's like
I
virtual
thought you were
building.
sort of building it with regurgitated paper straws. Or something.
No. I'm building a 3-dimensional model. It's taking me a long time. It's an evening project, but it's amazing because you can go because it's all in it's in a 3D space, but you can go into like a first-person mode, so you can walk in and walk around.
Yes.
And so, I tell you, here's the interesting thing, though, because of course it's to scale. It's a scale model. The interesting thing here is that the television sets, surprise, surprise, do not fit into what the houses actually are. The houses are so small, so criminally small, and the way I built it, I'm sure I built them with more space than before. When you see the sets on the telly, they're massive on the inside, but in reality the houses are so small. Like I'm quite surprised that they can even fit a bathroom in.
Wow.
So there we go. That's my boring hobbies.
David Steele says, would you consider some sort of live commentary on a 4-part 70s Doctor Who story as a lockdown distraction? Hope you're both well. A live one. Oh, I see. Yes, like they're doing with the tweet-alongs. Or...
It could be an idea. I don't know. I mean, the only thing I would say about all these sort of live...
We could stream it live, couldn't
we? We could stream it live, and do that. The only thing I think is that everybody seems to be doing live watch-a-thons. I think, how long is it going to be before people start saying, I can't watch this live watch-a-thon because somebody else is doing one? So I don't know how many... But if people want us to do it, then please write in and let us know. Because we certainly want to do something live, don't we?
Yes, we are going to do something live, aren't we?
Definitely,
yes.
We've worked it all out and how it will be
done.
The
lockdown will be over by the time we get round to it, but we're definitely going to
do it. Well, maybe this can be the thing. Do you want us to do a live podcast like we're doing now, or we could do a live watch-a-thon? People can watch with us. Let us know. Let us know. I'd
just like to say at this juncture that Benji has, as his Zoom background, an episode of Public Eye.
The whole thing,
and it's so difficult for me to concentrate on Benji because I just start watching the episode.
It's one of my favourite ones.
There was a bit where someone was pouring some drink into a flower pot, and the flower pot was where you were, so it looked like someone was pouring a drink into you. It was very strange, which is not an unusual occurrence, I think. Steve Line says, will you be buying the new Blu-ray Dalek film release? Is there another Blu-ray?
They've just it's got, I think Rob Shearman's involved in it, actually. Doing a commentary of that.
Well, I'm just affronted they didn't involve me, so no. And apart from The Chase, which other Doctor Who story do you think would have made a great movie? Death to the Daleks is my first answer.
Yeah, Death to the Daleks is the obvious choice, isn't it, really?
Okay.
If it's all of Doctor Who, as a general, I think that you could make a great film out of The Time Warrior.
Do you?
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, like aliens coming down to assist people in a significant historical battle.
Could be like a Michael Crichton time travel thing.
Could be exactly.
He did write something rather like it, actually, funnily enough. I wonder whether he saw The Time Warrior and nicked the idea.
Let's find out. Somebody look in his file cabinet. Look in his DVD collection. VHS.
Nick Reese says, my memory of this show is that it was a favourite of my sister's, therefore my reaction was tut. Probably a boring girls' programme. Oh, he's talking about Lizzie Dripping. In truth, I probably never got past the titles, so please tell me my childish gender-phobic reaction has robbed me of some great TV. The Magic Faraway Tree, Theresa Day says.
The Magic Faraway Tree, yeah, well, there we go.
Just randomly, she just says that.
Kindred spirits, straight away.
She just says that all the time.
That's all she can say.
She just heard you say it, obviously. No, she can't have heard you say it. This isn't live. I'm going mad.
It's all going wrong.
Yes, everyone's listening as I'm speaking.
It's all going wrong. It's not going to plan.
Which that neatly brings us to discussing Lizzie Dripping.
Lizzie Dripping, yes.
Go on then, Benji.
For those that don't know, it's a television programme from 1973 to 1975 about a young girl who meets a witch and starts a journey into witchcraft and all kinds of mischief. I've not really got a lot of experience in watching Lizzie Dripping. It's far before my time. So I sat down, we both watched, we didn't watch the first episode, we watched Lizzie Dripping Casts a Spell. Wasn't that the title of it?
That's right.
I have to say, actually, you're expecting me, Nick, to not like it. I actually thought it was quite nice. Actually, I quite enjoyed it.
Why was that then?
It's a mixed bag. Some of it was the sort of childish nature of a lot of the sort of the dialogue and stuff was a bit grating at times, but I quite liked the way it was all put together. I loved the way the country was kind of, it looked pretty and kind of a little bit out there and a little bit different. And I have to say, I loved all the stuff with her and the witch. I thought it was a little bit weird and kind of, with the witch, you didn't quite know what was going on in terms of, you didn't know where it was going to go. Is she nice? Is she nasty? There was just something about it, and I don't know what it is, that I really, really enjoyed, actually.
Well, that's interesting, and that's lovely to hear. I mean, as you may have gathered from previous comments I made last time about it, when I was a kid, I hated it very much. And so this is a first for me in that I couldn't complete watching it.
Wow, okay.
This small half-hour episode, because it brought up in me a feeling of unbridled hatred.
Yeah. Oh my God, no.
I hated it so much. The good things about it is that it is beautifully filmed, very rich, looks great, and I think all the performances are good in the context. I think Tina Heath is really good in the lead role, and what I particularly enjoyed, in inverted commas, was the dialect of the speakers, because it's all set in the north, and they're speaking in a very old-fashioned way, using very old-fashioned words, and it just trips off their tongue, and it makes you realise in 1973 that dialect, it was still very much alive, whereas the British dialects have become have become diluted and homogenized by television, and everyone listening to how everyone around the world and everyone around the country speaks, and everyone is starting to sound more and more like characters from Neighbours and EastEnders, myself included. The salvo.
True.
I just throw another shrimp on the Barbie. Sorry about that, Barbie. There's a shrimp on me.
We've gone mad.
Anyway, but I really, in spite of all that, and I think it's quite a stylish production, it reminded me of why I hated it so much as a kid. I hope it's not a gender phobia, but I just thought, I'm not interested in this stupid girl and her silly crossing her fingers behind her back behaviour, and it's not for me, I can't.
And
yeah.
I think that's fair enough if things aren't for you. It is, and I think certainly, it's different now, because obviously we're a bit more of a progressive world. But certainly, when I was a young lad, you do have your boys' programs and your girls' programs. Nowadays, It's a lot more kind of everybody likes everything, which is really nice. But certainly when we were young, so I can see why. With this, being young as a boy, I would have put this in the category of a girls' program, just because it's called Lizzie Dripping, which interestingly isn't the name of the main character in this.
No, but that's what they call her.
Exactly, that's what they call her. Her actual
She's
name
Penelope,
is Penelope.
really, isn't
Yes,
she?
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I had an interesting bit of realisation in this, actually. Is that doing my research, I wanted to see. I was thinking, I wonder what Tina Heath is up to now. Interestingly, found out she's married to a friend of mine. Yeah, she's married.
Really?
Yeah, married to Dave Cook. Who I say friend. We've never met in person. We've talked a lot, but he's the composer of Chucklevision, and so we're all on. We connect on socials and all that business.
They must have met at the BBC.
They must have. I know that's it. I know that he worked on Blue Peter, but years later. And he did the theme tune in the 2000s. But yeah, they must have met at the BBC.
Did he?
Oh, here we go. Other way, her first television presenting role was on BBC One's The Sunday Gang, which ran from 1976 on Sunday mornings. A role which continued for 2 years, where she met her future husband. There we go. Who was a musical director on the show. So there we go. Isn't that a weird little kind of strange twist and turn?
It is, and she is, clearly a good actor. What else did she do?
Well, she moved on to being Blue Peter. She made other TV appearances in Play of the Month and the production of The Linden Tree. The Girls of Slender Means. She was in The Sweeney in 1976. Interestingly enough, she appeared in a special Blue Peter pantomime in 1981, where she played the role of Miss Dripping. Oh, interesting. But then after that, I think she's focused mainly on just family life and chilling out now, I think.
Yeah, she was a very good Blue Peter presenter, I seem to remember. Although, as I mentioned last time, I remember as a kid, they said, and our new presenter is Tina Heath, who you may know from a fantastic kids series, Lizzie Dripping, and Mum and I both went, oh, not Lizzie Dripping. Because, of course, as I've, again, mentioned lots of times, in those days, it was the rule that you had to watch television even if you didn't like it. So I certainly did watch Lizzie Dripping, but I didn't like it. But I used to also watch Junior Showtime. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I have, yes.
It's an ITV sort of variety show thing.
Kind of young Crown Court, isn't it?
I hated it with a passion, but watched it every week. And used to sit there suffering over my Marmite sandwiches, going, oh, Mum, this is terrible. She goes, I know, it is awful, isn't it? It didn't occur to us to
not watch it.
Turn it. Jamie Anderson is... Janderson is waiting to be let in. Here he comes.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hello. There we go.
Perfect. Love your background, Jamie. He's in the pub. He's in a bar.
He's rehearsing for Saturday night. We're going to have a big Zoom drink, aren't we?
We are. It's going to be the pub is opening.
Lovely zoomy beer.
The question is, Jamie, is that your local pub or is that just a pub?
I think it's just a pub. I've just realised my sound is coming out of the wrong thing and it's going to be picked up on the recording, so sorry.
On an aeroplane.
Oh, there we go. Hello, you're in my ears now rather than in my face.
Oh, well, that always helps, doesn't it?
We haven't actually brought up the background I've got, which Jamie has seen before on a personal call we were doing. But,
yes, Nick's got a picture of him, a very young Nicholas Briggs. Posing.
18.
You look like an agent. That's what I think. It looks like a sort of secret agent.
Everyone said I look like a serial killer. I was
going to say secret agent or secret serial killer.
Yeah, there is the serial killer element to it.
Well, most serial killers are quite secret, aren't they?
Until they're not.
Well, you make a fair point there. It's just quite depressing, because I think I look quite good looking in that.
You do.
Good snap. It's a good snap.
You still look good looking now. Just
hey,
a little
look, without
older.
hesitation, he's straight in there with the compliment.
A fine wine.
That's the skill you have to learn, for women as well. When your girlfriend or wife says, what do you think of this dress? You just have to say, it looks really beautiful, actually. It's just straight away.
Yes.
Even though she's wearing a Tesco bag.
One of my friends, Janice, she asked me about a dress she was wearing, and I gave that response. She said, you're good. You're good. No hesitation. That I really appreciate that. Because, of course, All women, he says, generalising horribly, know that men's opinions of dresses are completely null and void. So on those vague occasions where they do seek some kind of reassurance, all they need is for you to say the nice thing.
Just need you to say core in an Alec Freeman style.
UFO.
Yeah.
UFO's sex pest character. So Jamie, we've been talking about Lizzie dripping. Have you heard of that?
Only because you mentioned it to me last week.
It's Richard's fault.
Sounds like an unpleasant name you'd call a girl in the playground at primary school.
Yeah, well, it isn't her real name, is it? It's an insult name. That's right, isn't it?
Makes sense.
Benji.
It is. It says, to those outside the United Kingdom, a confusing aspect of the show is the name of the main character, Lizzie Dripping, which is a slang term in the Nottingham area for a spunky girl who had difficulty distinguishing between fact and fiction. It is therefore not the name of the main character, but a label applied to her. Her actual name is Penelope Arbuckle. There we go.
What? So it's not even Lizzie Arbuckle, it's Penelope Arbuckle.
There we go.
Lizzie Dripping was just... So it's in the Nottinghamshire area.
That's like calling Nick Briggs Gary Gullible. And it has no relation to his name whatsoever.
Should be Nick Nullable.
Nick Nullable.
Ooh, very good. Very good.
Anyway, I hated it when I was a kid, Jamie,
Yes.
and I hate it even more now.
Brilliant.
To be honest.
And Benji, did you...
Didn't think it was that bad. Quite liked it, actually. I expected to really hate it, but I think
Your expectations were low.
My expectations were low, but I quite like all the sort of mystical stuff. So, you know, shove a girl meets a witch, and I'm all for it.
Well, I love the spectrum of opinions here. I hate it even more. Well, it was all right.
Yeah, that seems how it tends
We
to go.
didn't give it
doesn't
any exclamation marks, did we?
Gets
And
a
last time
3,
we gave
doesn't it?
things
Gets a
stars.
3.
You get a 3. Listen, I'll give it 1 exclamation mark for existing, but really it's -5 for me.
Wow.
There we go. That's strong.
I couldn't actually get through a half-hour episode. It made me so cross. I just had to stop it. I just thought, why am I wasting my life watching this rubbish again?
Yeah.
But I was forced to watch it when I was 1973. I was going to say I was 1973. I was the whole year.
You were the whole year.
Well, it's all Richard James's fault, isn't it?
Yeah. He's never coming back on, I'm telling you.
No.
After that terror. Why would he recommend that? Why did he like it?
I don't know. He likes odd things, me included.
Was he
so
he's trying to sabotage the podcast.
that's
what
probably
he's trying to do.
He was hoping that you'd lose a few listeners and they might jump ship to the Jerry Anderson podcast instead.
Yeah, it's all starting to make sense now.
He's crafty.
How distracting on a scale of 1 to 10, Jamie, are you finding Benji's background?
Well, if I knew what it was, or it was something that I knew and liked, then I would find it distracting because it's just an unknown black and white something or other. It doesn't distract me.
You see, it's the former for me. I know what it is. It's Public Eye, and I really like it, and I keep wanting to watch it.
Benji, get out of the way. I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah. See you later.
There was a wonderful bit earlier where someone was pouring some alcohol into a plant pot, and Benji's head was exactly where the plant pot was.
Oh, look, I was hoping you were going to say he tipped his head back and opened his mouth, and you could see him being poured in.
That would have made my day.
If you
Made me day.
recreate that later on, that would be amazing.
See, that actor there, he was in Black Beauty.
He played the horse.
No, he played the father.
Couldn't help myself, sorry.
And it was in Frontios as well. It was a last-minute recast.
Good knowledge.
Yeah.
Good Black Beauty and
Not
Doctor
weird,
Who knowledge.
And the guy on the right used to be one of the lead characters in a fantastic pre-Grange Hill TV series called A Bunch of Fives, which was set in a comprehensive school, and it was all about a school newspaper.
That sounds
It was
decent.
really good, but it didn't get as famous as the... It's interesting that, of course, Stephen Moffat wrote a series called Press Gang. I just want you to know, folks, that Jamie put inverted commas up when I said interesting.
I did.
That could go for this whole podcast, to be quite
air
frank.
quoted the heck out of your interesting. And rather interestingly as well, the guy in the middle is a podcast host and composer and sound designer known as Benji Clifford.
Yeah, how was he even in it? Quite frankly, is what I want to know.
Bizarrely in colour,
hovering around.
Yeah. How is he in colour?
Would you believe my doorbell's just rung? So I'm going to have to bid you adieu.
Well, don't go. Come back.
Okay, I'll try. But I don't know what the doorbell is. I'll see.
Okay.
He doesn't know what a doorbell is. Is the man
if
insane?
You know what a doorbell is, write in to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. Oh, there go the dogs.
Oh dear.
We're intrigued to find out now. I'm also worried that he thinks that someone coming to the door is going to take him away from the podcast long enough for him not to be able to return. Someone's saying, we just need to sing you the whole of the Hallelujah chorus.
What do we do?
I just don't know now Jamie's gone. So just mention to listeners that Jamie, Benji and I and some other people will be meeting up for a drink tomorrow night. And what I hope is that Benji will bring his pub sound effects with him.
Well, it's accessible via the link that I sent last time, if you remember. But I'm happily... We can be anywhere you want to be, Nick. We can be in a pub. We could be in a saloon bar, a Victorian parlour. Space, you name it, we can be there.
Space. I know we were on a ship for a while, weren't we?
We were on a ship.
It becomes very surreal after you've had a bottle of beer.
You start thinking the whole room is going up and down.
Decks.
Yeah, it's great. You can make your own fun.
What are we going to do next time? Are we going to do what we've been watching recently?
Yeah, let's do that one because I feel like there's actually quite a good amount of things to talk about.
What are we going to talk about then? Because we have to mention it so that Colin Smith knows what to put in the cover.
Good idea, yeah. I'd like to talk about Quiz actually, because that is like good topical television there. What else have I been watching? I've been watching loads of things. Why can't I think of them?
I've been watching the Daleks, the first Dalek story on Doctor Who.
I could talk about that for hours.
I've been watching 7 Up, which is a documentary series which in 1964 interviewed kids, a group of random kids from different social backgrounds when they were 7 years old, and then revisited them every 7 years and made a documentary about them to see how their lives are going. It's extremely poignant, sometimes intrusive, sometimes controversial. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? It's. I'm up to them being 56 years old at the moment.
It's on BritBox, isn't it? Because I remember, they do it. They do it every couple of years or so, don't they?
It's mesmeric. You know, I sometimes fast forward through some bits because I just can't bear the personal suffering. But yeah, I'm certainly watching that. Yeah,
I've been watching The Young Ones. I've always loved The Young Ones. I'll tell you one thing I will talk about because I've had loads of people recently messaging me about life on Mars actually, and I haven't been watching.
I started rewatching that on BritBox. Yeah, I watched the first episode and enjoyed it. So maybe
it's brilliant. And I haven't been watching it, but I could talk about it forever. But I feel that because a lot of people seem to be revisiting it, it might be a good thing to talk about.
Yeah, well, throw that in as well. So there you go, Colin Smith. You have got quite a few. Colin Smith, the very talented artist who does our fantastic colours. That you got a few good suggestions there. Now, before we say goodbye, we're going to wait for Jamie to return, so there may be an edit round about now.
Oh, they're still going.
Yeah, we're waiting for you.
Are you still recording?
Why are you still recording after all that time?
Well, we're waiting for you because we've got a last couple of things to say to you.
Oh, thanks. That was my Asda delivery, which is an hour and a half early.
Oh, classic.
Wow. Well,
efficient.
It's nice to hear that the food is getting through to even remote farms in Wales.
It's true, thankfully.
So, Jamie, we were asked by someone what is your favourite thing, the positive thing about the lockdown?
Ooh. I don't know. I mean, there's a sense of appreciation of how things might be when they go back to normal, actually. And weirdly, I quite like that kind of how easy and good we had it and appreciating that more afterwards.
Yeah.
But I've realised how much time I was spending zooming around, going back and forth to London, all that sort of stuff, which I could probably get away with not doing, and how much nicer life is without all that rushing around. So that's good. There's definitely some upsides. Have you experienced similar or getting that feeling at all?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. That's indeed what I did say.
Ah, excellent.
I think a lot of people are realising that they can do their jobs remotely for the first time rather than having to rely on going into work. I think it might be a big shift as well.
Yeah.
In the way in which we work.
I agree. My neighbour was saying he's been advocating working from home for a long time, and the company has always been resistant, and now the company's going, do you know, after this I think we could probably look at everybody working from home actually.
Yeah, well, it's going to save, isn't it? Save loads of money.
Yeah, but then what happens to all the people who own the buildings and the warehouses and industrial places where these businesses currently operate, where they don't actually need workshop premises or whatever?
Well, yeah, they've been making a killing for far too long, I would suggest.
Well, absolutely, but I just wonder who will come out of this as winners and losers once it's all kind of settled back out to the new normal. But it will be a new normal, and that's exciting.
Yes, I mean the big winners, like in the West End theatres, are the people who own the theatres and who charge people to go in them. They always, that's what makes it very difficult to make money out of West End shows. So let's see how that changes. They'll probably increase their rates to account for all the money they've lost during the lockdown.
That's it.
The classic manoeuvre. Yeah.
£1,000 a ticket to see anything.
Yeah, well, I just mean for the theatre companies to go in there.
Well, and therefore, I suppose, then what they'll have to charge to ticket price. So, yeah.
Oh, dear. And also, what have you been watching recently? We're going to discuss next week what we've been watching, but have you been watching anything? You're shaking your head like you don't watch television anymore.
Well, that's the weird thing. Because I've found so much time to sort of focus on projects that have been on the back burner because I've been rushing around and I've only been doing the kind of essential stuff. Spending time creating new stuff and discussing storylines, etc. Which it was previously really tough to find multiple hours to do that, and it does take hours to crack something like that. So I've actually not been watching very much new content at all. I've just been doing stuff and thinking, which has been rather lovely. So no, I can't. It can't even give you. I watched half an episode of. Is it Norseman? The Norseman.
Oh, that,
I don't know about that.
Which
isn't it, Benji? Isn't it the Norseman?
Norseman.
Yeah.
Norway, the North Way. That's the comedy, isn't it? About Vikings.
That's it. Yeah. And I sort of was enjoying it, but it's a bit of a relentless gag fest. But I'm gonna try again because it's been recommended to me by multiple people. But that's about it, I'm afraid.
It's a good comedy I've recently got back into, which I forgot even existed. It's probably about 10 years old. It's something called How Not to Live Your Life. And it was on BBC Three a long time ago, and I found that I bought it on iTunes years ago and found them all. It's absolutely brilliant.
Who's in it?
It's a guy. It's written and starring a guy called Dan Clark, who's like a comedian. And it's basically
like a comedian, or is he actually a comedian?
He's like one. No, he's
like he wears a funny hat, but he's not actually funny.
He wears a. But it's basically he plays this guy. He's a useless kind of 30-something guy. His grandmother dies and leaves him a house, and he moves in the house. It's just he gets himself into loads of scrapes, but it's just really good. Like it's I would say it's one of the last really good comedies.
It rings a bell weirdly. I feel like I
can see Dan Clark. He does look quite funny.
He's
an English actor. Daniel Gregory Clark is an English actor, comedian, writer, director, and singer. He's best known for playing Don Danbury on the BBC Three sitcom
Benji,
How Not to Let Your Life.
I've just remembered that I used to watch this.
And it's good.
And it is good. It is actually good.
Yeah, see, there we go. It never like it was a weird one because it never like fully got big. Like it wasn't like a massive. I mean, it says here the third series got viewing figures of 1.5 million, which I guess is actually quite good for BBC Three.
Yeah.
Yes, that does qualify as never fully having got big.
It isn't a massive
I feel like
show.
I'm correcting my son's grammar.
But it got three series, and it got a Christmas special.
Yeah.
So.
You can't see that, can you?
can't
Because
see
of
it,
the
can I?
background thing. It's the thing of him with a ball gag in his mouth. I remember that episode. You see. So.
There's that, because basically the idea for Nick, one of the things that makes it particularly funny is that whenever he approaches a situation, it rolls into this sort of thing of 5 things you shouldn't do. So like, for example, splitting up with your girlfriend or something, it will kind of say 5 ways you shouldn't split up with your girlfriend. One of them is immediately getting up and snogging somebody else, or another one is there was one, like first days of work, what not to do on your first day of work, and he pulls this body into the office, says, anyway, great to be here, guys, anywhere I can put this, and it's just this dead bloke. It's quite good. But,
that does sound quite funny.
That's
I'm
a good
laughing.
lockdown view.
I'm going to go and rewatch that this evening. I'm going to stop work so I can watch that. Thank you for reminding me of that thing.
You're very welcome.
Have you got it on DVD or something?
I'm going to find a way of watching it. I don't care how.
Okay.
There'll be a way. Also, I'll tell you what I did rewatch recently, which I haven't mentioned possibly, which I know this is quite, not marmitey, I hate that phrase, but divisive. Grandma's House.
Well, I don't know what that is.
I've not seen that.
Oh!
The way you said it sounded sinister. Grandma's
House. She's a serial killer, and no, it's it's Simon Amstell, sort of semi-autobiographical sitcom, and it is a love or hate one. But I have to say, I really, really love it. The characters.
I think I seem to remember watching him in a sitcom. Is that the only one he ever did?
Yeah, he's just playing himself. Literally,
yeah, and it's
called
kind
Simon.
it's a bit weird though, because he's not really an actor, and so I don't know, his voice is all sort of strangulated.
Well,
He's a funny guy though. He is funny. I have to say, I do find him.
He was a great presenter of Never Mind the Buzzcocks, wasn't he?
Certainly was, yeah.
But
He upset a good few people.
It doesn't matter about him not being the greatest performer, because what he's written and the other actors are all fantastic. And it's really lovely, awkward British family life.
Excellent.
And I have got the DVD of that, so there you go. There's my 2 things that I'm going to watch, and it's all because of you two. Thank you so much.
That. Well, I'm going to have to give Grandma's House a go, I think, now.
Yeah, that's what we're about. We're about reminding you of the things that you love that you can revisit.
Yeah.
This is a commercial for the Benji and Nick Show.
You can watch all of How Not to Live Your Life on Amazon Prime, but you have to buy them. But it is on there, which is just something.
It'll be worth it.
I shan't be watching that.
It is worth it.
Well, time now for us all to get close to the microphone
Okay, I'm close now.
and say it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me. And goodbye from me at Grandma's house.
Don't know why you're whispering. Pressing stop now. Ka-chunk.
Ka-chunk!